Hey guys! So I've had so many video requests on Instagram and Tumblr and in my YouTube comments, and all of them have told me many, many times that you guys want me to do a morning routine video. And I think that that's like such a cool idea because I know that morning routine videos are super popular on YouTube. And honestly, like, I wanted to film a morning routine video. I think that's like a really cool idea because morning routines are really popular on YouTube. But I really decided that I think it would be way more fun if I did a morning routine, kind of just talking through it with you guys. And so I'm going to just kind of like walk you guys through what I do in my morning, like before school, and then like my mornings on the weekends. And you guys can tell me like kind of what you guys do as well. And yeah, so like I just thought I would kind of like write it down and walk it through on like this little cute notepad. For those of you guys who don't know where this is from, it's from Bloom Daily Planners, and they have like the cutest notepads ever. I absolutely love it. Oh, Rebecca's asking if I'm having a good morning, and yes, I am. Last night was homecoming, so I had a ton of fun, and I like just had so much fun and really had a blast. So this morning is a really good morning, and I'm really excited that I'm like live streaming with you guys. And so, anyways, this notepad is from Bloom Daily Planners, and I don't know, I think I'm going to use this like Muji .38 gel ink pen. This is the purple one, and honestly I think the purple one is my favorite, not just because purple is my favorite color, but it's like a really nice like bluish purple. But basically, the first thing I do in the mornings, I'm just gonna write morning routine. And the first thing I do in the morning is wake up, and I wake up around 7 a.m. every morning for school. Like, when do you guys wake up? Because I know that, like, in my How to Be a Morning Person video, a ton of you guys were telling me about how, like, you wake up at, like, 4:30 in the morning because you have to commute to school, and that you have to wake up at, like, 6 or, like, 5, and that's, like, I can't even like imagine having to wake up so early. I feel like I'd have to go to bed super early to like be able to get enough sleep for that. But yeah, so I wake up at around 7 a.m. and I try really hard to get enough sleep. So I go to bed like usually around like 11:30ish, and that's enough sleep for me, especially on the like school days and everything. And so, yeah, so I wake up at 7 a.m. and then after that, I go and I immediately get up and brush my teeth. And after I do that, I go and I change into whatever clothes I am wearing for the day. Honestly, I don't do a lot of like studying or like school things in the morning really because I don't know, I just wake up on a pretty like tight schedule. Like, I mean, I have like an hour-ish to get ready and stuff, so that's like fine. But I don't really like study in the mornings unless if I have like a big exam and I want to make sure I get things done. So, yeah, so I just like change clothes, and after I do that, I finish packing my backpack, and I try really hard to kind of like pack my bag the night before because that way I have less to do in the morning and I have less to think about when I'm getting ready super early in the morning. But if I have like a notebook out or like a couple of folders that I forgot to put in my bag, I make sure I just quickly like check over that I have everything that I need for the day, because I hate being like that person that like forgets to bring like my folder for my, psychology class when I'm in psychology. So I like to make sure I have everything. So I always make sure I pack my backpack and double check things and all that. And ooh, someone's asking what I usually have for breakfast. So actually, like after I finish packing my bag, I go and eat breakfast downstairs. Honestly, I don't really eat like a whole huge breakfast or anything, and I know that breakfast is the most important part of the day. So I always make sure I eat something before I leave. Usually I just eat like a banana and then sometimes like yogurt and like or like a toast or like avocado toast is amazing. So I usually will just eat something really quickly and then head off to school. Sometimes I'll like bring with me like a little carton of orange juice or like iced coffee or something, depending on how tired I am. So yeah, so that's basically what I normally eat for breakfast. And honestly, after I do that, I really just kind of, you know, double check everything again. I'll like check things on my phone, and usually I like just scroll through Instagram, and I like just sometimes I'll like update my Snapchat story. I try to be really active on there, but I've been super busy, so I try my best. And then I basically just head out the door and then I'm done. So that's really my morning routine for school days. It's not super, super different than what most of you guys do, I think. But oh, someone's asking what time I go to sleep. I go to sleep at around like 11:30 p.m. like I said earlier, but on weekends sometimes I'll go to bed a little bit later. Poison Levy is asking what phone I use. I have an iPhone 6S, and um, oh, a couple of you guys are asking how many hours a week I study. I don't really have like a specific routine per week of when I study or how long I study for because it depends so much on the classes that I'm currently in because sometimes my teachers will assign us like a ton of homework and I have to spend a lot of time studying and sometimes I just don't have as much. So it's really really dependent on what my teachers give us. But I don't know. My favorite study snacks, as asked by a bunch of people, are mostly popcorn is really good because I feel like it's sort of healthy, but I can still eat some and it's like salty, so I just, continually get some good stuff from there. Okay, so I don't know. I did a video on my after school routine, and I know that a lot of you were really, really excited about that and wanted to see more of like what I did for like my night routine. And so I thought I would just kind of do the same thing I did with my morning routine and just kind of talk you guys through like what I do. So if you're like curious about how I structure my nights, then this is kind of how I do it. So, like I said in my after school routine, the first thing I do when I get home is do my homework like after I've like showered and eat and I've like had dinner and all that. So I first just try to do my homework and I get as much done as I need to because honestly like okay, so you guys have seen my planner before, but this really really actually saves me. It's my Hobonichi cousin for those of you who don't already know. But basically, like, I write down everything that I have to get done for a day. And normally, like, I write down, like, actually everything that I would be happy with completing that day. And I really try to, like, decide what I need to get done based on, like, what's due, like, the next day and the day after that. And so I really try to, like, divide out and not overwork myself. So, like, you see here, I've, like, migrated a couple of things over to the next day. And I definitely try not to overwork myself. So when I'm studying at night, I really try to just do the things that make sense for me to finish because I don't want to be like studying until like 1 in the morning because I think that getting more sleep is so much more beneficial than just studying until like way late at night. Like, I don't know, do you guys stay up really late to study? Because I know that some people really spend their most productive hours at night and aren't really morning people, and so they feel like they work better late at night and that they don't really like study well like in the afternoon or the evening. So I don't know. Just for me personally, like I'm not a great like night person. I used to be, but I think that ever since I started appreciating early mornings, I'm less of like a night person, I guess you'd say. But yeah, so the first thing I did was homework, so I'm just going to write that down. And I also am going to put in parentheses dinner and shower. And so I do my homework for like a really long time sometimes. Like if I have a lot going on, sometimes I'll just do it for like 3 or 4 hours. And so I'll usually be done at around, I don't know, usually around like 10 or 10:30. Hopefully sometimes it's a little bit later if I like have just a lot of work or I've like taken a lot of breaks and stuff like that. But after I've finished as much homework as that like I need to for the day, then I go ahead and like I change into pajamas if I haven't already. But normally I try to be as comfortable as possible when I'm doing my homework, just because I think that it just makes it more comfortable and you don't have to worry as much about like getting comfortable if you're wearing whatever you wore to school that day. Yeah, so after I change, I then eat a snack usually because I am such a snack person. I don't know. Do you guys like to have like late night snacks or anything? Because I find that if I have like, I don't know, like some milk or like dessert or something like that, like a little bit after dinner, like it just works so much better for me. And I also find that it's almost like a reward after I've like finished all my homework. Like if I've done all my work, I can go ahead and eat some like cookies or something like that. But I basically just do that, and then I brush my teeth. And normally at this point I've like already practiced my instrument and stuff, so I've like brushed before that as well. But after I brush my teeth, I go ahead and I get into bed, or I sit like around on like the sofa or something, and I'll like just check social media. I'll like answer questions on Tumblr. You guys have like seen me constantly trying to answer questions. I get so many messages from you all on Tumblr, so I spend a lot of time trying to like catch up with that, and I'll like maybe post a photo on Instagram and like answer some like comments on Instagram and stuff like that. And then I'll just go to sleep right as soon as I start getting like sleepy. And I find that it's like I get into bed, but I won't go to sleep until like maybe 20 minutes after that. I don't know. Does anyone else feel the same way? Because I think that, I don't know, I just like can't fall asleep right away unless if I've had like a super exhausting day. But yeah, that's basically how my like nights look. So I just wanted to like let you guys know about like my morning routine and my night routine, just because so many of you have asked me about it, and I just kind of wanted to like talk about it because I felt like I didn't want to like do a video on it, just because I think a lot of it is stuff that you guys would do normally anyways. Um, so, some people are asking if I got a grade for The Secret History, and I did. So, as a lot of you know, I did read The Secret History for an assignment for my AP Literature class, and I basically just go ahead and like we annotated through the whole book, and then we had a bunch of like class discussions, and I did really well on that. And then we had an in-class essay, which I did really well on as well, so that was good. Have I ever considered a ring binder for my planner? So actually, this is something that I considered for a really long time. You guys know that I mostly use my Hobonichi, but I also have this little personal planner. And this little personal planner is the square size, and it's super cute and small. And I use this for all of my like social media related plans. And so this one, as you guys can see, is spiral bound, and my main planner that I use for like really everything else is not spiral bound either, but it's also not a binder. It's just like, I guess just like a normal like notebook. But I thought about getting a ring binder when I was deciding whether or not to get a Hobonichi or not. I was trying to decide if I should get a ring binder, like a Filofax or whatever, because I thought those are so cute, and I've seen a ton of them on Instagram. But I decided that that wouldn't work very well for me because a lot of the little binder planners, they have to like make your own like inserts because they're like smaller than a normal sheet of paper. So I don't know. I think that the binder system works well for some people. It wouldn't work very well for me because I wanted to make sure that I really could use my planner to the fullest and actually plan out my days and not really plan out like how to use my planner and put in like inserts and things like that. Let's see. Did I make that cover myself? Like for this personal planner, I actually didn't. So it's really cool because Personal Planner is this like website online, and basically you get to customize your whole like entire planner. And I did a video about this reviewing it, and I really like it because the website's pretty easy to use and you can use whatever you want as your image for the front. So you could put like a collage of like pictures of your friends, or like pictures from Tumblr, or like your favorite band, or whatever you'd like to put on the front. I decided to go ahead and just put my little logo because I thought it was really cute and it was relevant to what this planner is about. But yeah, so they kind of make everything for you and you just decide the options that you wanted. And someone else is asking how to study for AP Lang and Comp. I actually didn't take that class, so I can't really give you any advice. But if anyone else has taken that class and has some advice that they want to share, definitely do that in the live chat just to help out that one person. But oh, okay, so someone says that they got Pilot juice pens, but they regret buying them because the ink runs out really fast. So I don't know, like I think like so a lot of you guys already know that Pilot juice pens are like my favorites. I really do like these a lot because they're really consistent and I never have them skip or bleed ever, and these are like the .38 versions. But I haven't really found that they run out of ink that quickly compared to other pens, just because, I don't know, I do try to switch these out with other pens so I don't use like a bunch of them at once, since I do have like several different types. Like I have my Muji ones and the other Pilot ones and stuff like that. But these ones, I don't know, I haven't noticed that they run out of ink fast. I don't know, has anyone else had that problem? Because like I used these like during like my AP exams, like for the essay portion, you're allowed to use like a dark blue or black ink for like essays and the free response sections. And I don't know, I haven't really noticed even after using it like for those long essays and stuff that like these ran out of ink any quicker than like normal pens. So that's always, I guess, something to keep in mind. So oh, someone's asking what other pens. Okay, so I also have these like jelly roll ones that I don't really use for normal writing. I use these like mainly for like my planner and stuff like that. And then I have this cute little jar, and by the way, I like love using little jars to keep my stuff in just because you can like see everything and it's clear and all that. But I use the Muji ones, and those are .38. And then these, which are the Pilot High Tech C Mica ones. These ones are kind of scratchy, but I still like them. And the Pilot Friction ones that are erasable. And I don't know, I have a bunch of like fine liners and stuff, but honestly, I haven't really been using fine liners as much lately. I don't know. I know a lot of people still really like fine liners, but I find that they just last for such little time compared to like other pens and stuff like that. Oh, Sarah's asking how to improve your math grade. Basically, I did a whole video about this with like how to study for math, and I think I gave like 7 or 8 like tips and advice on like how I've personally like figured out how to study for math and all of that. So I think that if you follow those tips, you should see a difference in your work. Okay, a lot of people are asking about study apps. So I was actually planning on doing a video on that really soon, because I think that doing like using your apps on your phone and on your computer and stuff is actually like, super useful, because basically like you have it available to you anyways. Like if you use your phone often, it makes sense that you would use it for studying, especially if you're like a student anyways, and that's something that you spend your time like working towards. But like study apps that I really like are usually related to time management, and I really like ones like Clear and forest and stuff. Like I've already talked about all the main ones that I use for time management in like my time management video, but I really, really like those. And study tips for economics I talked about in my Study With Me economics video. And I basically had a bunch of methods that I used when I was studying specifically for econ. I, did summary foldables, which I've like shown you guys before, where I just like fold a piece of paper over and I have like a type of like flashcards. And Rawan is asking any tips on getting rid of distractions while studying. So definitely, I find that like the thing that distracts me the most while I'm studying is definitely my phone, my computer, and like any other electronics like the TV and things like that. And so if I get rid of those three things, I find that that gets rid of most of my distractions. And so I, would usually like close my laptop if I have it near me, and I turn off the TV if it's near me, and then I will put my phone either on airplane mode or do not disturb, or use like a Pomodoro timer or something like that, just to really make sure that I don't touch my phone while I study. And when I do that, I think it's just really, really helpful for me to get rid of all my distractions like that, because I don't really get distracted by many other things than those. Flora's asking, do I color code? Yes, but I don't really color code like in my notes as much. I usually just use color to really differentiate between like topics and subtopics and things like that. But you guys have seen before in like my monthly spreads in my planner, I basically use 5 different colors, including black, which I use for all of my school related things like homework and things like that. And I color code in my planner itself with like blue for like personal, pink for health, yellow for social media, green for band, and black for homework and assignments. So that's basically the only color code that I consistently use. I actually also color code in my annotations, and so I'm actually reading Jane Eyre right now for English class, and so I actually color code using highlighters in this. So let's see, here we go. So I use usually like 4 to 5 highlighter colors. Oh, here we go. And I use yellow for important like plot points, and I use green for like character development or like new information about the characters, and then pink for like figurative devices, and then I use blue for any like thematic ideas. And so I try to keep that pretty consistent too, but that's really like the only other place that I normally will like color code or anything like that. Alessandra is asking how many classes I take. Normally I take around 7 classes per year, and that's usually like the standard for people at my school. So I know it depends a lot on like what type of school you attend and all that. How do I study chemistry? I took chemistry last year, and I did a lot of like flashcards and summary foldables to really make sure that I memorized all of like the different like element symbols and other things like that I had to remember for class, and like the element symbols and things like that. So that's what I did. And then I don't know, I think that really did everything that I needed to for my like chemistry class. Oh, a couple of you guys are asking right now about if I still use my bullet journal, and the answer is yes, I do. I use this little Muji notebook, and it's really really nice because it's super thin. Like I think there are only, let's see, I think like 80 pages in this whole notebook. So it's really, really thin, and it's not heavy at all. And I really appreciate that because my moleskin that I used before this was super thick and heavy, and it was a hardish like cover, and so it just like added a lot of weight. But this is like paperback and really, really thin, so I love that. And I still use this bullet journal a lot. I usually use it to set like my monthly goals, like I did here for October. And I did this spread in my October Plan With Me video. And I also just use it for like random like like spreads about like this was for my AP government class, just like a checklist of all the things I needed to study and things like that. So I do use my bullet journal and I'm really happy with it, but I regularly use my planner, and then my bullet journal is just like a supplement to that. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this bullet journal and I still use it regularly, but just not as regularly as my planner because that's where I write down the bulk of like my tasks and things like that. Um, oh, someone's asking if I've ever tried Quizlet because it's really great for flashcards. I totally agree. I use Quizlet for all of like my foreign language classes, so all of my Spanish classes ever. And actually, yeah, Zara's asking if I know Spanish, and I do. I take Spanish at school, and I'm currently in AP Spanish, which is the highest level of Spanish that my school offers. I don't know, do you guys take languages as well? Because some schools I know offer like a ton of different foreign language, but I personally like my school only offers like a couple of foreign languages, so it isn't like as big as it is at some schools. But I have a couple of friends that live like in other like counties at in like other schools and stuff, and they take other languages like Italian and like Japanese, and like some people actually take like American Sign Language, which I think is super cool. And I've always kind of wanted to learn sign language because I think it'd be so cool to like be able to communicate without speaking. But yeah, I know that a ton of people take French. Yeah, it looks like a lot of you in the live chat have taken a lot of French and like German and Spanish. Those are all like I think pretty typical to be offered at schools for like foreign language. I don't know. But I think that like the best way to study for a foreign language is like really focused on like vocab and grammar. Like those two things I think are really really good to really focus on for a foreign language class, at least in my experience. And if I've done a ton of like vocab, and because I have like regular vocab quizzes in my Spanish class, and so if I spend time and I work on basically like just memorizing all the vocab I need to, then I'm usually set for the vocab quizzes, and that's usually what my grade is spent like on, I guess. Yeah, so like, oh, so if you take sign language, I guess you can also, I don't know how exactly you'd study for that. I think that you would probably maybe do a lot of like partner work and like study together and like make the signs and kind of try to communicate that way. Um, how old am I? Asks Jessica. I am 17 right now. And, oh, look, some other people take AP Spanish too. Awesome. Jasmine is asking for tips before an exam. So that's pretty general, and I think it really just depends on the type of class that you are currently in. Because, like I said, like I would study for foreign language in a completely different way than I would study for something like math or government or even like an English class. Because like every exam is just so different. But generally, I would prepare for like a big exam about a week in advance and just do a little bit of work every single day so then I don't have to like cram the night before, because I think that isn't as effective as spacing out all of the things that you have to study for. So, yeah, that's what I would say for just an exam in general. Um, oh, someone's asking, how do I relax on the weekend? So, it is currently the weekend. It's Sunday morning for me, and I'm just like any other normal like teenage girl. I like to spend time with my friends and like go out to dinner and hang out. I'm in marching band, so typically on Saturdays I have marching band competitions that I go to, and of course I have to do all of my homework usually on Saturdays or Sundays depending on like when I have my other things I have going for the weekend. So I do spend a lot of time with my friends when I can, and then I'm also working on like college apps and stuff over the weekend. But to relax, I like to spend time with my friends, and I also use a lot of my time like for social media things. So it's like super relaxing for me to like spend time on Instagram and scrolling through my feed there, and then like on Tumblr and Snapchat and stuff. It's a lot of fun. Oh, Lila's asking for a book that influenced me. Honestly, I don't really know. I don't have like a specific book that has like changed my life or anything. like off the top of my head, I can't really think of one, but books that have like stuck with me and I like had me thinking a lot when I was reading them and right after I'd read them were things like 1984 and Lord of the Flies and definitely The Secret History and The Goldfinch, but not much else from what I can remember. Maria's asking, are you going to law school? No, I am not. I am not planning to do anything really with law at all, but I am planning to go to an undergraduate university and then after that maybe go to medical school or graduate school. I'm not really sure yet. A ton of you guys are asking for PSAT tips. I really don't have any advice for the PSAT because I am not going to be taking it this year and I really just don't have any experience with the new like SAT format. So I really can't give any advice, but if you guys have advice and you have like tips and stuff, definitely leave it in the live chat below to help the people that are taking that PSAT this year because I'm sure that'd be really helpful for them, but I personally just can't give any advice or tips on it. Let's see. Do I procrastinate? Asks Iva. I really try to avoid it as much as possible, like I've said in most of my videos, but we all kind of have our moments, and like the other day I was like, all I had to do was like my math homework, and I tried really hard to like get myself motivated to do it, but I just like couldn't do it, so I just did it like the next morning, and I still turned it in time, and there was like no problem with it, but I don't know, I think we all have our moments when we like just don't really want to do something and you just kind of put it off a little bit, but as long as you get it done, I think it's good, and that's always important. Someone's asking for ACT tips, and I did take the ACT and I did pretty well on it, and I actually made an entire video with tips for the ACT, so it's really like, I guess it would be really helpful if you went ahead and like watched that video after this live stream is finished, because that has like all of my tips. Basically it's just to really like know what you're up against and to study in advance and just do as much practice as you can. And let's see. How do I manage school and personal life? So basically, like, I mean, as you guys can probably tell, because my channel and all of my other social media things are very like study focused, that school is kind of my priority because, I just really have this mindset that I really want to, achieve everything that I want to in life. And I think that doing well in school is one thing that won't get in the way of you doing well. It's only going to help you do well in the future. So I really, really try to like focus my energy on my schoolwork and making sure I'm doing well there first. So like if I have homework due the next day, I will do that before I go out with my friends or like waste time watching TV and things like that. But I balance my personal life and school life by basically just doing my schoolwork first, and I really just like plan ahead and like work ahead as much as I can. And then anytime that like some plans come up and someone's like, hey, let's go to Starbucks, or like let's go here and like hang out or watch a movie or come over, blah blah blah, then like I'll put that in my planner and then I'll just plan around that, and I just like will I guess like do my work like beforehand and then do it afterhand, like without worrying about like my schoolwork while I'm hanging out with my friends. Let's see. Oh yeah, these polar bear post-it notes are actually so adorable. Someone just talked about that in the live chat. These are from Flying Tiger, and I think they were like $3 or $4, like for both of these, I think. So they were like super cute, and I really like them. I use them in my planner all the time. And how did I decide to take AP classes? So for those who don't know, AP classes are advanced placement, and those are really heavily encouraged at my school. Like people are really like they aren't required to take them, but a lot of them are available to us, and people really try to encourage that we take at least some before we graduate. So I just decided to take them based on like the subjects they were offered in and the types of courses that I was kind of interested in learning more about. And so like I really decided to do my AP classes based on like my interests. Like I decided to take AP psychology and AP biology because those are two subjects that I was super interested in. As many of you guys know, I want to like major in neuroscience. So that's something that takes both psychology and biology into account. So I decided to take AP classes for both of those subjects. So I think if you try to take AP classes in places that like you're interested in, it'll help you be more successful in the class because you want to kind of learn more about it and it's really interesting to you, so you won't have to worry about like studying as much. And Nora's asking if I can make a video talking about motivation. I actually already did that on my channel. So after this live stream finishes, definitely check that out. It's called How to Get Motivated. And the thumbnail is like purple with like a little cloud and sun on it. And that video really gives you all of my tips on getting motivated and how I personally get motivated. How to write faster. I think that being able to like handwrite really quickly only comes from like practice and being able to do it as many times as you can. And I think that something like that works well for me is like whenever we're like doing in-class essays for my AP Lit class, which we do pretty often, that's when I have to like, oh, I forgot what I was saying. That's when I forgot what I was saying. Never mind. Tips on reducing anxiety. So, like anyone else, I do get stressed out over school sometimes. I think that it's just because it's a lot of work and it's really about like how much pressure you decide to put on yourself. I really like to do well and I try my best to do as well as I can in all of my classes. And so I think that if you try to take on a different mindset about like how maybe school doesn't matter as much as you think it will, because this year I've tried to kind of take a different approach where I'm just like, I will do as well as I can and that's all I really can do. And I think that kind of mindset is way more healthier to have. And I think that if you just try to like slowly adjust how you think about things, that'll definitely reduce your like stress, anxiety about school. Do you have any other memorization tips other than mnemonics? Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Memorization is really, really, really important, obviously, to like a ton of classes. And I think that the first thing that I would recommend doing is to figure out how to put the information you need to memorize in a bunch of different ways. So like I, for example, would be studying like my vocabulary for like my AP government class. So I put them in my little like vocab spiral notebook, and then sometimes I'll make a summary foldable of all the ones that I maybe don't remember as well. And then on top of that, I'll use like Quizlet, and then I will also go through my textbook and their supplemental materials. And so right there, I have like 4 different ways to study that same list of vocab. And I think that just having the information in a ton of different ways is so useful when memorizing. And I would definitely recommend doing something like that. You could also just like record yourself talking about a topic and then listen back to it. There's like all sorts of different methods for that. So that's something I would definitely recommend doing. And let's see. Oh, how to make a study foldable. So actually, I can show you guys real quick. So you basically take out a sheet of paper, and let me see, I can just use this right now. And so you take out a sheet of paper and then you fold it in half. And I usually like to do it vertically. Some people call this like hot dog style. And so after that, you unfold it real quick, and then I take out a pen. It doesn't really matter what type of pen you use or anything, but like suppose I'm trying to remember, I don't know, like the author of Jane Eyre. So I'd write down on one side of the piece of paper, I'd write like Jane Eyre, just like the title, and I'm like trying to remember what the author is. So I'd write down like Charlotte Bronte, on the other side of that fold. And basically, you can use this like summary foldable by folding it back over, and that way you just look at half of the information. Here's like, it just says Jane Eyre, and I'd have to think about it like, okay, well, what's the author's name? And I could be like, okay, well, the last name is Bronte, and so that means it's like Charlotte Bronte. So then I would unfold it to check my work, and if I'm right, then I can just move on to the next term. And I find that this is just it's basically the same concept as flashcards. It's just slightly different because you just need one sheet of paper instead of like a ton of index cards that end up taking a lot of space in like your backpack and are really easy to lose and stuff. So this just saves like time with like making it and things like that. So that's kind of like a quick example of how I'd like make a summary foldable. But I don't know, like, is there any other way that you guys study vocab? Because this is a method that works really, really well for me. And I also, like, in addition to doing these summary foldables, I will use, like, normal flashcards if I need to, like, do diagrams or anything like that for science classes. But I know that a ton of people use Quizlet and, like, Flashcards Plus and really, like, all sorts of apps that do, like, virtual flashcards as well. But, yeah, like, I think that just doing different ways of, like, memorizing vocab, it's really, really useful, and that'll help you in a ton of classes. What's your color coding system for foldables? Asks Eliana. Basically, I don't really have, like, a color coding method, but I'll just show you guys real quick. So, like, usually I'll use 2 to 3 different colors. So, and usually I try to use, like, the same pen just so it's, like, it's kind of uniform throughout. But suppose I wanted to remember, like, the author for the Harry Potter series. So I'll write, like, Harry Potter series underneath. And then, obviously, the author is J.K. Rowling. And so that way I use alternating colors like this. So, like, my next word would be in green again, and then I would alternate it with pink, and then green, green, pink, green, pink, green, pink, etc. And this works well for me because it's not exactly a color code because I use different colors every time I make a foldable. But when I flip over and like I fold this and I'm asking myself about like the author of the Harry Potter series, then I unfold it and I see that the Harry Potter series is in pink, and when I unfold it, the author for that book series is also in pink. So it's kind of a way to separate the information out without like drawing a line separating each and everything. So that's just kind of how I color code those. I've seen like a ton of people asking like what clubs I do. So I don't really do a whole lot of clubs, but I do a lot of band and things like that. So that's sort of where most of my extracurriculars come from. Oh, okay, so Blur is asking about the Pilot Friction erasable pens versus the Pilot Juice pens. I definitely prefer the Pilot Juice pens over those. The Pilot Friction ones are a little bit inconsistent, like especially the slim versions, which are like 0.38. These ones are 0.5 and are a little bit better because the ink actually like works and it's like a pretty smooth pen. But the slim versions aren't something I would recommend at all. They do erase, which is nice, but the pen itself isn't great. Is it okay if I start a bullet journal now? I really want one, but it is October. Yes, absolutely. I know that a ton of people aren't sure about starting a bullet journal if it's not like September for like the start of the school year, or like January because it's the start of a new year. Like, I personally, like, I started this bullet journal, which is the one that I currently use. I started this one in I started this one in July. So I did this in like my how to start a bullet journal video, but you can start a bullet journal whenever you'd like to. You don't have to wait for like a specific time to start one, just because it's like a super, super flexible planner and you can use that like whenever you choose to. Sarah's asking how I edit my photos. Honestly, like, I only edit my Instagram photos and I only use like the Instagram app itself. I don't use any other apps, but if you guys have any suggestions for apps I should check out, definitely let me know. I know a ton of people use like VSCO, like Visco or whatever. I haven't really checked it out, but I think that, you know, like if you find an app that works well for you, then that's awesome. But yeah, so let me see. Tips for studying physics. I'm in physics right now, and the way I study for it is really similar to how I study for my math classes. And I really try to work on like just practice problems because that's what most of my tests consist of. And so I really just do like practice problems, and then I like practice with like the different graphs that we're given and like just like study those and go over any like vocab and variables I need to remember. So that's basically like how I study for physics. It's just similar to like a math class for me. And yeah, so that's basically all the time I have for you guys. But thank you so much for everyone like to tuning in and hanging out with me. This was like a ton of fun. And so I really hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and definitely make sure that you guys come back to give this video a thumbs up once the live stream is uploaded onto my channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!